Hey everybody, welcome to Chi Alpha Winter Edition. I'm excited for us to be spending time together during the break, especially on Tuesday nights during T3 at 7 p.m. We're going to be talking through a lot of cool stuff this winter break, so I'm excited for us to get to spend some time together. Do you ever think about how many times you say no? I have a 2-year-old, and I believe that no is pretty much his favorite word ever. He says it literally millions of times a day. Do you want to go take a bath? No, no. Do you want to go for a walk? No. Do you want some more dessert? Still no. I don't even think he knows what it means. He just says it all the time. Like that's just his regular sort of behavior. I just say no to things, and maybe eventually he'll figure that out. But I think that if we're not careful, when we think about faith and relationship with God, it can be the same sort of way. That it's just a series of no's, and sometimes we don't even think about it, but we just feel like having a relationship with God is about just no, 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 no. A big long list of no's. Don't have sex outside of marriage. Don't speed. Don't swear. Don't steal. Don't say mean things to people. If we're not careful, I think that faith can become just an endless list of no's, things that we're supposed to move away from. But I think faith isn't just about moving away from things, it's about moving towards things, but moving towards the right things. Spiritual disciplines are tools that help us know what are some of the right things that we need to move towards. They help us know what's valuable for growing our faith, and also they provide us a way of practically doing that. So they identify, but then they also provide movement and action. What's important for us to know is what's natural isn't always what's best. Ephesians 4 says, "You were taught with regard to your formal way of life, to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires." Saying like what was natural to you, put it off because it wasn't the best. And then 23 says, "To be made new in your attitude of your mind, and to put on your new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness." That takes intentionality. That takes discipline. Each week of Winter XA, we're going to be focusing on a different spiritual discipline that's going to enhance your relationship with God and help you go deeper. Have you ever been lost? I have. Yesterday, actually. And it's a little embarrassing if I think about it. So I had a pickup order at Walmart on the edge of town, and I started heading there, and I was driving, but I think my trouble probably started before the night before. I was thinking about, where's that Walmart? Yeah, it's about 30 minutes from my house, when it was actually about 12 minutes from my house. On the same road, so I start driving, but when it gets to be about 30 minutes, I'm looking around, and I'm like, I know, just stay straight on this road, and it'll show up on the right. So I'm expecting that, and I'm looking, and then suddenly there is a Walmart on my right, but it's not the right one. And I thought a little earlier, maybe I could use my GPS. Nah, I'm not gonna use my GPS. So I get a little closer, and I'm looking, I'm like, no, this is the wrong Walmart. And I'm like a little frustrated, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check my GPS and see where I'm supposed to be actually. So I throw it in there, and it's like, hey, the Walmart that your pickup order is waiting at, yeah, it's actually 20 minutes the opposite way. You just drove past it. I literally laugh out loud. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. So I turn the car around and I start driving back. But because of my timing, what ends up happening is I arrive at the Walmart that I passed, but the correct Walmart, I arrive about 3:30. And apparently on this side of town, that's when everybody and their mamas go to get their pickup orders from groceries and all that sort of stuff at Walmart. So I show up. You're gonna cringe. You ready? I wait for an hour and 5 minutes to get my pickup order. I get it, and I head home, and I'm just thinking, man, I probably could have avoided some of this if I just used Google Maps and got a little guidance and then kept going. But seeking guidance is something that we don't always do naturally, but it is something that can really grow our relationship with God and also keep us from wasting time driving to Walmarts we don't need to be at. The spiritual discipline of guidance is about committing to Christian community and expecting God to speak to us and through us in that community. Let me say it again in case you missed it. The spiritual discipline of guidance is about committing to Christian community and expecting God to speak to us and through us in that community. Why is that a discipline? Isn't a spiritual discipline something supposed to be tough or hard or weird or whatever? This is a spiritual discipline because all of the rich things that happen in the process of seeking guidance. Let me unpack them for you. Before we ever seek guidance from God or anyone else, what we first have to do is acknowledge that somebody else's idea might be better than mine, right? Or otherwise we wouldn't look. That process is called humility. When we identify that someone else's idea, somebody else's thing might be better than mine, we're practicing humility. And Philippians 2 says, don't do anything out of selfishness, but instead in humility, value others above yourselves. When we value others better than ourselves, it's okay to seek guidance in place of our own. Seeking must be combined, though, with trust. Trust is a choice. When we practice a spiritual discipline of guidance, we choose to trust God in where he's leading us, and that place is actually going to be a good place, and it's what's best for us. Pause for a second. Do you trust God? Do you trust that the places that he's leading you are good, and they're what's actually best for your life? Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So in order for us to do that, we've got to be willing to trust him, and that where he's leading us is good. The final part of seeking guidance is the hardest. After we've humbled ourselves and chosen to trust God in his leading, we surrender and act. Surrender is the byproduct of humility and trust in guidance. Proverbs 3:6, the very next verse from what we just read, says, in all your ways submit to him, and he'll make your path straight. Surrender is about taking action. When we practice the spiritual discipline of guidance, we humble ourselves and seek God's wisdom through Christian community. Trust in his leading, and then surrender our actions. Are you willing to be a part of Christian community? Are you willing to commit and to lean into it? Are you willing to be there and to seek guidance? Make it a point this break to seek out Christian community during the winter months. Find a place that is going to fit, that you're going to work. Find a core. Find a community of people that are committed to living life together with the Bible as a guide. Lots of things are going to be happening during the break that you guys can be a part of. If you have a core, continue to be a part of your core. If you haven't yet connected to a core, message us here or message us on IG. We'd love to connect you so that you've got a community of people that you can continue to seek the Lord alongside. You don't have to do this by yourself. You weren't designed to do it by yourself. The beauty of the spiritual discipline of guidance is it's supposed to happen in community. So make it a point to connect to that kind of community. Go to church, get out of bed and show up. Even if your church isn't the cool one you're used to, you need it. Refuse to live in isolation during the break. Remember, Hebrews 12:11, it says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Anybody interested in a little extra peace during the break? I know I am. I'd love that. I'd sign up for that. Practice the spiritual discipline of guidance by committing to Christian community this winter. Invite God to speak to you and through you in that community. Humble yourself. Seek guidance. Trust God with the people he's placing in your community. Practice surrendering what you think is best by accepting what God is speaking to you through them. You don't have to drive past the places that God is trying to lead you. He has placed people in your life that want to guide you in your decisions. Choose to be humble enough to seek their guidance. There's going to be a couple questions in the messages in the notes below the video. Would love for you guys to take some time and just continue to process this idea of the spiritual discipline of guidance this week. Find some people that you can talk to about it and just enjoy where that conversation takes you. Hey, love you guys. It's been so great to spend a couple minutes with you guys. I know it's short, but hopefully meaningful for you. Looking forward to spending time with you guys on Tuesday nights, and you guys enjoy your break.